Busking expenses. Like any other line of self-employed work, there are costs to doing this as a full-time gig. But full-time musician is probably one of the least costly self-employed businesses to set up. So that's the first good news. The second good news is that of those costs, I'm going to explain how I make them work and how I operate in a way that keeps them low. Let's go busking. We can more or less split busking expenses into three categories. First category, and one that almost every busker will have to consider, is equipment. Unless you're literally a cappella, I don't know, somebody that makes percussion noises by hitting various body parts, you're probably going to need an instrument at least. But this extends further to instruments, amplification, mics, mic stands, leads, strings, plectrums, reeds, mouthpieces, I don't know. Second category is travel, one that I get asked a lot of questions about. If you want to make a full-time living doing this, then the chances are you're going to have to travel at least a little bit. And the third category can otherwise be described as everything else. Everything else you've got to pay for. There are a few hidden things here and there that perhaps you haven't thought of, or perhaps if you are a well-seasoned busker, you know all too well. So we'll explore these three categories today. This mighty fine day here in Worthing. Dare I say it, summer might finally be upon us. Woo! So I think the first category we'll talk about is travel. Even though equipment's more obvious, I get a lot more questions regarding travel, how I afford to get from place to place on all these train journeys. And for you drivers, I did a bit of research into vehicles too. So you can rest assured, I've kind of got you covered. If not, I'm sure some fellow buskers can help you out in the comments section, because that's what we do, help each other. Oh my goodness, it's such a nice day. I'm going to start my travel expenses and how to keep them low section with a story. Everyone loves a good story. So not too long ago I was getting on a train on my way to a busk as usual, when a husband and wife couple got on, and the train was really busy. It was one of those really packed trains. And the husband of the husband and wife couple was sipping on a takeaway cup, some kind of hot beverage. When the husband realizes the train's really busy, he turns to his wife and he says, "Cool, I'm surprised the train's so busy, given the price of tickets. They're so expensive these days." The wife laughs a little bit and then turns to her husband and says, "You know that your return ticket costs less than that coffee you're sipping on." The point of the story is, the guy was assuming. He was assuming that the train is expensive. He was uninformed. He'd made an uninformed opinion and expressed it as a fact. If there's one thing you shouldn't do as a human, it's assume. Never assume, especially on the internet. The internet is a terrible place to be making assumptions.
You look like you're going to be good before you start.
Oh, thank you. I like that. That's a great compliment.
I think I lost my rhythm. I think I lost my groove. And I can't find a melody I wanna sing to you. I keep falling out of time, I keep running out of rhymes, I keep falling out with you.
So to travel around, I use the train. Some people think the train is expensive, but relatively speaking, it's pretty much the same as owning a car. And I'll show you why in a bit, because I've done the calculations. If you're a casual busker and you live in a place where busking is possible, then you might not need to worry about travel. You can just walk to your spot, do your thing and walk home, which when I play in Hove or Brighton, that's what I do. But for the rest of the bread and butter busking I do, and even the adventures, I have to travel.
The pulse that I can't find, irregular and disorder, and I can't hear you anymore. It's too loud in my mind. Used to clap it through my fingers.
If you want to know why I travel to different places to make it work as a full-time busker, then go and watch the video I link. Hopefully remember to link up here, because I explain all there. But essentially, by spreading yourself out and not saturating the same place over and over again, you're able to capture a market of people, and they don't get fed up with you thinking, well, I already gave him a £1 last week. That's essentially it. That's essentially the secret sauce.
Posted I can't find, irregular and dissonant, and I can't hear you anymore. It's too loud in my mind.
So I have to get the train everywhere. I don't own a car, but I like getting the train. And I'm going to give you some ways that you can keep the cost of the train down, even though, as I already said, it actually isn't that costly in the first place.
I wanna sing to you some gun around the talk and say, what a break made you to the minor chord. What I'll see for you.
So the two ways that I find keeps travel down on trains: one, get a rail card. There's lots of different options for rail cards. If you're 16 to 25, you can get a really good rail card. If you're 26 to 30, you can get a slightly less but still really good rail card. And if you're over 30, here in the south, you can get what's called a network rail card, which works pretty well, but this will vary. The thing is to do your research.
New song, not very well rehearsed.
The second way to make train travel cheaper is just travel at off-peak times. The train is cheaper after 9 o'clock, and it's then even cheaper after 10 o'clock in the morning. So I always tend to make sure I'm traveling after those times. The third way to make train travel cheaper is to use an app like the Trainline. I'm not promoting them for any other reason other than it makes it so convenient. Trying to faff around at a train machine, trying to figure out the best price, headache. You get an app like the Trainline, you can just set it so it will tell you the cheapest price. It's much easier.
When a factory becomes a home, inside the machine is all that you know. You'll be spending your savings or writing your bucket list.
When it comes to train prices, the most expensive ticket I buy regularly, and these are returns by the way, is £13.30. And the cheapest ticket I take, which is actually from Hove to Worthing, which is what I did today, is £3.65. And that's off-peak times with a rail card.
Meaning is set a feeling, what do you deeply desire? When a factory becomes a home, inside the machine is all that you know. That's how you need to walk. Where you fall in line instead of taking the time, you'll be spending your savings or writing your bucket list.
I put everything I make, everything I spend into an Excel spreadsheet. If you want to make a living doing anything that's like a bit off the beaten track, but even if you're a salaried person with a 9 to 5 and a day job, I recommend sit down one day with a spreadsheet and input everything you spend, everything, across a whole year. Like from today to today a year ago. Sit down and do it. And you can work out how much you cost as a human, how much you cost to exist. And doing that, it shows you where you can save things. But anyway, I do that, so I can tell you how much I spend on train travel. So my weekly average is £38.95, and that's for roughly 4 trains a week, sometimes 5, which might sound expensive to you right now, or maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But let's compare that to the cost of a car.
Places to go. I'll be spending all my time living out my bucket list.
First of all, I'd need to buy a car, so that'd be a huge expense. But for the sake of this experiment and this comparison, let's pretend I do have a car already. So we won't factor in the cost of the car. So here's future me with a rundown cost of how much it costs to run a car, roughly on average per week.
Good day to you, one and all. It is I, ARP from the future. You are listening to my voice. On the screen here we have a car running cost breakdown. These are figures taken from Compare the Market and the financial analytics company Nimble Fins. As you can see, the monthly average total of running a car is £218.10. This does not include any monthly finance payments if you bought your car on finance. If we break this down into a weekly figure, you can see that we are actually substantially over my average train spend. These figures are obviously taken from 2022 and they may vary, much like my train figures will vary because train prices are constantly fluctuating too. The world of money, what a weird one. Anyway, back to past me.
There's also the factor of like things can go wrong in a car and then that's up to you to sort out financially. If something goes wrong on the train, it's nothing to do with me. If anything, I can get my ticket reimbursed. There's also the anxiety that comes with driving a car. It's a scary vehicle. You're in control of something that can literally take lives. That's pretty freaky. And there's also the energy expenditure. Like, you do a drive, that's mentally very draining. And after a 4 or 5 hour busk, on the times where I have borrowed a car, honestly, those drives home are horrible. They're really hard to do.
Cause I refuse to be a sheep. Yeah, I'm barking like a dog. Cause I refuse to be a sheep. The difference between you and me is I believe in love.
Whereas on a train, you can be productive for that time. You can rest, you can relax, you just get on it. There's usually a toilet at the station, which is great for when you arrive as well as when you leave. I can sit, I can listen to podcasts. I even sometimes write video scripts on the train. The video you're watching right now, I literally wrote the script on the train the other day on the way to Chichester.
And there's all these excuses for why I won't succeed. And everyone has their own idea on what it is I need. I'm more than happy singing in the street. Cause I don't really care for who they want me to be. No.
The last thing you need to know about travel is you can claim it on tax. The Musicians Union even state this. Travel is an expense for musicians. So you don't need to worry about it getting taxed. So it's not really lost money at all. It's sort of money that you neither lose nor gain. It's a necessary part of this.
Separated by state of mind, I refuse to give up and I'll be paying the fine.
Will I ever get a vehicle? Yes. I fully intend on getting a camper van. I think a camper van lends itself really well to what I do. So even though I've just spelled out why I love trains and why trains aren't as expensive as cars, or they're at least about the same, I do intend on getting a vehicle. Just not yet. I need to be able to afford one yet.
Now the difference between you and me is I believe in it. I believe in it. I believe in it. I believe in it.
Let's talk about equipment then. Equipment expenses. The good news about equipment expenses is almost all of them are going to be a one-time purchase that you're then not going to have to worry about after you've made it. There are a few ongoing purchases you have to make, but they're all relatively inexpensive stuff. So your general one-time purchase equipment's going to be like your amp, your instrument, your mic stand, your trolley, your case, all the sort of straightforward standard stuff, a lot of which, if you're not busking but you're a musician, you've probably already got. You've probably all got a fair amount of it.
Running out of fuel, man. We had to make it work. oh no.
Your ongoing purchases, I mean, for me, that's like strings, it's battery, plectrums. Although I haven't bought a plectrum in a hot minute. Could probably do with buying one, look at that.
Oh, well, I don't think they could ever see. They'll never hear what people do in these makeshift venues that mean so much to me.
So here are my top 5 tips for keeping your equipment expenses low. Number 1, buy using busking. Need an amp? Go out busking with your acoustic. Save up your donations till you can afford one. Most of the time, although it's not your intention, you shouldn't be going out with the intention of making money. Busking most of the time does equal money. You can then use that money to up your game, to buy your equipment, which is rad really. Especially if you're like looking to go into gigging or other kinds of ways to make money in music. You can use busking as a supplement.
And I don't think they could ever see. They'll never hear what people do in these makeshift venues that mean so much to me.
Number 2, go in on the long-lasting equipment. For example, the Mackie Showbox is an amp that will last you years and years and years, rather than going on that entry-level amp that's only going to last you maybe 1 or 2. You could buy something like a Showbox and then you never have to think about buying a busking amp or a gigging amp for that matter ever again. I have met plenty of buskers who own Roland Cubes and have owned them for like 15 years, 10-15 years. So it goes to show, going in on something that lasts a long time is wise.
Oh, the Backhouse Cafe and this man's coffee tastes so sweet.
Number 3, buy in bulk. This is particularly good for those ongoing purchases, so like strings. You can buy from Strings Direct, and the more strings you buy, the cheaper they come out to be. And if you're going to be busking regularly, you're going to need a solid amount of strings.
I understand all of you and all of this. You name it, I ain't.
Number 4, this is a bit of a cheeky one to put in there, I guess, but it's to build a little following. This is probably a long-term strategy as well, I should just add. Then you can, build a little YouTube channel and people might send you gear for free. Like, I've been fortunate enough to have 2 busking amps and 2 guitars, a bunch of microphones. Shout out Mackie. Rad. I understand that not everyone has an audience, so putting that in there is a little cheeky, but everybody does have the capacity to have an audience. If you want to build one, you can do it. It just takes consistency and persistence and patience.
What people do in these makeshift venues that name it who I am.
Number 5, ask for discount codes. I email companies all the time. Great story here, and it's nothing to do with busking, but I once emailed the tofu company, tofu, and I'd drawn them a picture. And for whatever reason, I just decided to illustrate a picture of the alien I always draw eating some tofu, and I sent it to them, and they sent me some free tofu. In return, they gave me a discount code, and they gave me some free tofu, and I even got a free tofu pen. Honestly, there's a bit of a hack in that, especially if it's a company that are really, nice and have a good customer, want a good customer rapport. That said, don't go around just, be respectful. Don't go around pleading and begging and things like that. That's not the vibe. Us buskers don't want to get a reputation for that. Might get mistaken for something else. Oh man, I've done like 4 hours 20 minutes. I don't know how that works. Busks keep like disappearing at the moment. Don't know how. Don't know why. It just keeps happening. Just getting too absorbed, having too much fun. Oh, that was a lot of work. Exactly. Right, let's talk about this everything else category. Little things that just randomly pop up that you need to pay for as a busker, that hopefully I can help you save a little bit on. Bruce Lee says, it's not about the daily increase, it's about the daily decrease. Hack away at your inessentials. When it comes to financial things, that's a really good quote, a really good sentiment to live by. Think about what you can get rid of rather than trying to make more of. You'll generally find you're probably a happier person if you do get rid of the inessentials. The everything else category. I'm gonna eat my lunch. What else might a busker need to pay for in order to make this lifestyle possible? Food, drink, accommodation occasionally. Your phone is an expense because You will probably need that if you're getting around on the train. You'll need it if you've got a Zettel card reader, just general organization. If you are living without a phone, then good on you. That's rad. You might possibly need some camera gear. You want to build that online following. That comes highly recommended. Kind of essential, probably. How do I keep these costs low? Well, food and drink's easy. Always bring a pack up. Always bring your own. I always pack my own coffee. I take my breakfast with me. I take my lunch with me. I take my own water. It's very rare that I buy anything when I'm out busking. Always bring a pack up. I even take this to the extreme where I take pack ups to gigs. I don't want that money I'm being paid to go towards food when I've got a fridge full of food back home. Water's easy to come by. Most places have water fountains. The best place to look for water fountains is usually a shopping centre. If you busk in places regularly, you'll probably find out where the water fountains are, and then you'll just know. It becomes part of the knowledge. As for accommodation, the cheapest accommodation I ever get is when I stay with friends and family. A lot of the adventures I've been on so far, I've been able to stay with somebody I know, and therefore it's cost me nothing. If you can't find anyone to stay with, Booking.com seems to be the best place for me. Just go on Booking.com, search out where you want to stay. And I always put cheapest first and then work out where the cheapest place is relatively near to the town centre / the train station to wherever I want to play. There's also an I'm travelling for work option, which gives you places suitable for people who are travelling for work, because that's what you're doing, travelling for work. If you're going somewhere to busk, then you're going there to work. It also means that they give you a little invoice, and again, you can save that on your tax expenses. So it's not money lost, it's not money gained. Some other tips. Second-hand, buying second-hand gear. There's plenty of people on eBay and Facebook Marketplace that don't really know what the gear that they own is. Say they're like, it's their kid's amp and the kid's moved away and never uses it and they're trying to sell it, just want to get rid of it. If you're lucky, you can pick up some things for pretty cheap. You just have to be searching for it, and that's the thing. Again, that's good for camera gear. If you're just sort of looking to upload a few videos of yourself onto your YouTube or something, because you want to, you know, you're looking to get function work and you need to send them examples, just a really cheap GoPro. I think the GoPro I have was like £99, and that was when it was like first come out. That was 2018. Something my brother always says is, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. There are plenty of ways you can save on your busking costs if you simply prepare. If you can take anything from today's video, honestly, it should be that Excel spreadsheet where you go, just write out everything you spend a year ago today to today, to the day you're watching this video, and then also put in how much you earn. Go through your bank account, like meticulously. Honestly, I did that when I first quit my job, and that is fundamentally the way you earn a living doing anything, is you figure out how much you actually need to make, and then you figure out where you can save and where you don't need to perhaps spend money. In Paul Millard's book, The Pathless Path, which is all about alternative ways of working and making a living in a different way, it's a really good read, highly recommend it. He talks about how unnecessary spending typically goes down when you start making a living doing something that you truly care about, that you truly love. Because most people spend unnecessarily when they're dissatisfied in life, and most people are dissatisfied, at least in the Western world, because what they do as a job, it isn't what they want to do with their life. If you find yourself as someone that's spending lots of unnecessary expenditure on sort of things you don't really care for or need, or that never fill the hole, maybe it's time to think about what you want from life. I highly recommend that book, it's good. I think that's the conclusion. I think that's the conclusion of the video, isn't it? I could go on about busking, about how it saves you time from rehearsal, how it promotes you, and ticks all these boxes for all the other things that you might spend money and time on if you didn't busk. But I say that in so many videos. By now you should know. Right, over to future me for a bit of housekeeping, and yeah, thanks for watching this one. Over to future me.
Good day to you one and all. It is I, ARP from the future, here to round off the video. If you've watched any other ARP videos, then you know the drill. Be sure to give the video a like if you liked it, subscribe if you're new, turn the notifications on so you don't miss a video. If you wish to give me an online donation, hit the super thanks button. If you have a bit of extra cash laying around and you're interested in extra content, guitar tutorials, some live videos, full songs, and maybe some song demos from an upcoming release, ooh, then I have a Patreon. Head over there, check it out. I really appreciate you for tuning in to every Monday upload, and I will see you next week. Peace, love, happiness. Appreciate you. Bye.